How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Greetings, welcome America. Glad to have you with me. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. I want to ask your help with something. I want to see if you would do me a favor and text the word donate to 33777 and consider making a small tax-deductible donation. Here's why. Next week is Thanksgiving week. I'll be working Monday and Tuesday next week. I'll be off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I got a lot of cooking to do. There are going to be a lot of Americans who are struggling this holiday season because of price increases in this economy. And it might be some of you. Some of you may be worried about how are you going to afford a Thanksgiving meal for your family, or where are you going to go eat? And I partner every year with a group called Hungry for a Day. Hungry for a Day works around the country with food pantries, food banks, soup kitchens, and they meet people where they're at. They provide a Thanksgiving meal. They provide a turkey, sweet potatoes or mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, green beans, and rolls. And depending on where you are, there may be other stuff included. Now, a meal like that costs $60, $70, but Hungry for a Day is able to work with these groups to get it down to $40. So a $40 donation to Hungry for a Day will feed a family of 4 a Thanksgiving meal. Now, some of you can't afford to give $40, but you might be able to afford $20, which will feed 2 people. $10 will provide enough to feed 1 person for Thanksgiving. What I love about Hungry for a Day is they also are mindful of people's conditions in life. And in some places, there are people who aren't going to be able to cook a turkey. And Hungry for a Day will make sure they either have a smoked turkey or a ham that they don't have to worry about cooking. They'll make sure they have cooked food. They're very thoughtful in their approach. In some communities, for example, in Hispanic communities that are impoverished, a lot of them, they're not turkey eaters. They may be pork eaters. In one area, I know that they partnered to give the makings for fajitas so they could have a Thanksgiving meal, but they would be able to celebrate Thanksgiving in the United States with the food they're accustomed to eating. In a lot of places where I am in Georgia, they go in and they provide the turkeys and they provide the stuff for families, but they're mindful of those who can't cook, and in some cases they'll have prepared meals for them. All you have to do to help us is text the word donate to 33777. Now, I want to tell you guys, you did this, not me. David Huey, who's in charge of the program, great friend of mine, says, you guys, my listeners, have already raised over $65,000. Y'all are so generous. The amount of you who come up to me when I do events and ask how my wife is doing, you pray for my wife, and you guys have contributed $65,000 and did it in about 48 hours. So I want to make the big push, see if maybe we can get to $100,000. If we can. Now, side note. By the way, I wasn't going to talk about this. I got something I want to talk about in the data, but I think this is important and it's a good reminder. There are going to be a lot of people who are too prideful to ask for help. Now, a side note. If you weren't here earlier, my wife's scans are good. We can't get rid of her cancer, but she's on a medicine that stopped it from growing. My wife, I remember one time back in 2016 when she had her lung biopsy. If you've never been through a lung biopsy, they go through your back. It is an ordeal. It is painful. It is not an easy surgery for just a biopsy. And my wife, I had blood clots in my lungs, and I wasn't allowed on an airplane. And her parents had to take her to Arizona. I took my kids to Disney for a few days. We were going through a tumultuous time in our house. I just wanted to distract the kids, and I took them to Disney. But when we came back, I signed us up for meals from church, and my wife was furious with me. She's like, why? Why on earth would you do that? I was like, because I'm home with the kids, taking care of them by myself. She's like, the kids aren't going to eat what's served. It's like, but I am. I want the food. My wife, neither of us like to ask anybody for help. We could be like lose our limbs and have no ability to open a can of cranberries, which are disgusting, by the way, and there's no way I'd ever eat them, but you get my point. And we would rather starve than call someone across the street, come over, open the can for us. I'm sorry, we've lost our hands, feet, and teeth. We can't turn the can opener, but nope, we would rather starve than ask for help. It's just, it runs in the family. It comes on us. So I understand. I am saying that myself so that you understand. I get it. Some of you don't want to ask for help. And so for the rest of you who are willing to ask for help, and by the way, I really don't need help. This isn't applying to me right now. But think about your friends and family who might be alone for the holidays and see if they want to come over, because some of them probably are on hard times and they don't want anybody to know. And if you're willing to invite them to sit around the dinner table with you, you've just given them an invite. You're not singling them out. You're not making them feel awkward. You're not making them feel bad. But you're also not allowing them to give into the pridefulness of not asking for help. You're just inviting them over to your house for Thanksgiving. Consider that. Consider breaking bread with people, adding friends to the table of family. Because, we don't get to pick our family, but we do get to pick our friends, and some of our friends become like family, so adding our friends to the family table matters. They are like family. But you probably have an inkling, a suspicion maybe that maybe some of your friends aren't doing great right now. They're not going to say. It hasn't been spoken. You don't know officially, but invite them over for Thanksgiving if you can. But for those of you who are having a hard time right now, Hungry for a Day wants to help, and they're partnering with soup kitchens and food pantries. They're partnering to be able to provide meals for people in need. My father-in-law runs a soup kitchen in Carroll County, Georgia, and they've been getting volunteers. They go through these seasons where they struggle for volunteers and stuff, and Hungry for a Day has been very helpful with this particular soup kitchen. And my father-in-law was commenting on the number of people in the last couple of years since COVID that they've seen who they ordinarily wouldn't see. And one of the things that has stood out in these conversations I've had with him and then with other friends who run some soup kitchens around the state of Georgia and then over into Alabama is the number of people who show up for meals. And it's not because they can't afford it. It's because they're lonely. They're lonely. And they don't see anybody. Now, many of them are in poverty conditions or they're on hard times, but they're lonely. They're isolated. And so they go to the soup kitchen for lunch. And those who can afford, pay, donate, help, but they're lonely. You got friends like that now. The holidays are coming up, y'all. This is an emotional time for a lot of people, and a lot of people give into depression. Rates of suicide go up in the country this time of year. And a lot of it is people dwell on that perfect memory. They had that perfect moment in time. They had that time in the past. And it has become their idealized version of the holidays, and they can't live up to it, and it makes them depressed. They got that favorite toy when they were a kid that doesn't exist anymore. They don't know what happened to it. They wish they had it. They had the perfect tree or the memory of a perfect tree. They formed this image in their head of something that was perfect that probably wasn't. If you could take a time machine backward and see where they lived at the time, that it wasn't as perfect as they imagined it, but it was better than what they have now. And they fall into despair and depression. So if you can help someone have a great memory of a good holiday season now, I wish you'd consider it. Whether it's making a financial gift by texting donate to 33777 and click the link on Hungry for a Day and help them help someone, or whether you invite someone to your home to be with you and your family for Thanksgiving, or you make something, make some bread for somebody or make cookies for somebody. Put a smile on their face. Anyway, I know I've got other stuff to talk about, but it's come up on us so fast, hasn't it? I can't believe next week is Thanksgiving. Then we got Christmas coming up in a month. I mean, we're just over 30 days from Christmas. My Christmas lights got put up on Friday while I was out of town. My wife probably not as happy about it as I am. So I'm notorious about putting up all the Christmas lights. I go Clark Griswold. And then we don't take them down. I don't remember to take them down until like February. My wife's furious. So a couple of years ago, I found a landscaping company that'll put them up and take them down. And they needed to come this past Friday. They're like, it's not going to happen until the week before Christmas unless we come now. And they plugged them in. Oh my gosh, my Christmas lights outside are already up. My wife is less than thrilled about it. It's not even Thanksgiving. The tree's not up. I can remotely turn them off. I got to remember to hit the button every afternoon and say, no, turn off. Don't stay on. Everybody think we're weird. Christmas lights up for Thanksgiving. I know people with their Christmas trees already up, though. People are in that frame of mind right now. Everybody's sending out the let's circle back after the holidays emails. But don't circle back after the holidays with your friends in need, please. Every one of you listening to me right now, and I know there are a whole lot of you, this audience has grown so much. Every one of you listening right now knows someone you suspect might be a little off this holiday season, or you have someone who is, and they're putting on such a show that you don't know. Ask them to be a part of your holidays. And think about the people around the country who are struggling because of this economy. I'm trying not to say the Biden economy. I'm trying to keep partisanship out of it because it's such a just important thing. If you can text donate to 33777, I really would appreciate it. Now, not to give you another word, but I will. Recipe, singular, not recipes, recipe to 33777. I know my regular listeners, but again, for those of you who are listening right now, you got to understand how massive the audience has gotten. With not just new stations, but so many people tuning in after the election. And God bless y'all for staying on and even after the election, staying and listening. I cook a lot, and every year I get asked my gravy recipe and my breakfast casserole for Thanksgiving. I'm going to send it out later this week. If you text recipe, singular, to 33777, you'll get those recipes. I've been sending out that gravy recipe for 12 years now. It has never failed for anybody, and everybody who uses it, embraces it, and makes it part of their repertoire for Thanksgiving cooking, you will too. Text recipe to 33777. But more importantly, most especially, the word donate to 33777. Click the link. Consider donating to Hungry for a Day. Help families who otherwise will not be able to afford a Thanksgiving. $40 gives a family of four a whole Thanksgiving meal. $20 will feed two people. $10 will feed one person. $5 can still make a difference. Text donate to 33777. When we come back, I'll get to the story I intended to get to. Judge Merchant in New York having to make tough decisions about whether or not to send Trump to jail. Looks like the case, well, it's going upside down for the Democrats, which is kind of funny. Hello there. Welcome. Yes, this news has hit the wires. Donald Trump's case in New York has been paused. Judge Juan Merchan, who's a Biden donor, who donated to a fund to stop Donald Trump, has paused everything. He was considering sentencing. He is now considering a request for a new trial that has been put off, and is also considering dismissing the whole case. All these steps have to happen before the appellate process can begin itself. And I kind of think this thing is going nowhere. If you recall, in May, he was convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records. And this related to the Stormy Daniels trial. I still think it was a garbage decision with some terrible rulings, and it should be thrown out on appeal. But nonetheless, you got to go through these steps to be able to even go down that road, and Trump is now trying to get the whole thing dismissed. I got to kind of think there's a possibility that happens, and certainly no possibility that he goes to prison. You can't put the president of the United States in prison, so you can't put the president-elect in prison, and Democrats are not exactly having a normal one over this. You know, they tried, and I think most Americans now realize it was lawfare. That everything that from Fani Willis in Georgia to Alvin Bragg in New York to Jack Smith, that there was some credibility in the classified documents case. That's gotten thrown out, and I suspect, it's not going to come back. Jack Smith's team intends to resign before Trump even gets there. Jack Smith's going to go back to Europe as quick as he can. Here's the most remarkable thing to me is they threw everything they had at Donald Trump and lost. And that should actually tell them they have fundamental underlying problems that they need to address. And I don't think they are going to be capable of doing it. In fact, when we come back, what I wanted to talk about at the first this hour, but before I start talking about Thanksgiving, what I wanted to talk about is there's a lot of data, a growing body of data that Hispanic and black voters are done with the Democrats in large part because all the crazy white women who have moved into that party and taken it over. Before I get there, though, progressives have been trying to take over banks and get banks to punish conservatives. And that's how Old Glory Bank got started, because they saw the debanking trends. They're like, somebody needs to stand up to these wokes. So they started Old Glory Bank. And a lot of my friends have recommended they move their business accounts to them. Why? Because Old Glory Bank is very business friendly, very conservative friendly. And so if you've got, for example, if you've got a gun store, you probably want to use Old Glory Bank as your bank. They're not going to shut you down for selling guns. If you're a small business and you're conservative, you may want their business checking. They are a great business-friendly bank. They're very hands-on with their business accounts. I've got a personal checking and savings account with them, and they're just good people. They're easy to work with. I've got a no-fee checking, no-fee savings account. You can even get a custodial account for your kid, and even though they're an online bank, they have 88,000 retail locations around the country where you can go to, generate a QR code on the Old Glory Bank app, and deposit cash into your account. And you can always get someone on the phone with them as well. They're great people. OldGloryBank.com. OldGloryBank.com. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply. Hello. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be happy to help you. Make that happen, but you have to navigate the call streeter first to be able to get through. But before any of that, I gotta talk about this. This is actually from, of all places, the New York Times. Here's the headline. For minority working class voters, dismay in Democrats led to distrust. In scores of interviews throughout 2024, Latino, Black, and Asian American voters, many of whom voted for Donald Trump, said they no longer trusted Democrats to improve the economy. The working class voters Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign needed were not moved by talk of joy. They were too angry and feeling broke. For decades, Democrats had been the party of labor and of the working class, the choice for voters who looked to government to increase the minimum wage or provide a safety net for the poor, the old, and the sick. But this year's election results show how thoroughly that idea has collapsed, even among Latino, Black, and Asian American voters who had stuck by the party through Donald Trump's first term. Latinos had signaled what was coming. They drifted away from the Democrats and toward Donald Trump in 2020 before defecting in greater numbers this year. But working-class Black and Asian American voters have also now broken ranks in startling numbers. The losses up and down the ballot leave Democrats in crisis. Voters without a college degree make up a solid majority of the electorate. Without them, the White House could be out of reach. And for a party that stands for and takes pride in its diversity, the erosion of support from voters of color calls its identity into question. Yet, interviews over the past year with hundreds of working-class minority voters revealed the challenges confronting Democrats as both clear and daunting. For many, hope had already hardened into cynicism. Promises about affordable housing fell flat, and promoting accomplishments on insulin prices failed to break through. Simply put, their trust in the Democratic Party has gone. Well, of course. Of course. I got to tell you, social media is a trap. Social media can make the left and the right together feel like they're in a bubble and that their reality is what's online. Most people are not on social media. Most people are not on Twitter. What the Democrats have done, by the way, is they blame Elon Musk for Donald Trump's election. They got to blame somebody. They can't blame Kamala Harris. So they blamed Elon Musk. They said, but for Elon Musk, Donald Trump would have lost. And so they've left for Blue Sky. Blue Sky is a new social media outlet set up by Jack Dorsey, who used to own Twitter and be its CEO. And it's their progressive bubble now. And if you go over to Blue Sky, what you find is they're blaming the voters. Fellas, now you ladies, you just listen in here. Fellas, let me talk to those of you who are Black and Hispanic. I know you are listening. You call the program. I need you to know that Joy Reid thinks you're a race traitor. I know. Apparently, she thinks the way to win Black men back for the Democrats is to call them race traitors. But hey, you ladies out there, shh. Calm down. We'll bring you into the conversation now. They hate y'all too if you're married. They hate y'all too. My daughter, I think I told you guys this 2 weeks ago. My daughter was on college campus, and this guy came up to her who she's in class with, and he says, I'm so sorry. And she says, what for? He says, for Donald Trump winning. She says, why are you sorry about that? He says, your rights. You don't have any rights anymore. I'm so sorry. And my kid looked at him and she said, you dumb blankety blank. I voted for him. My rights are just fine. Thank you very much. But you got these idiots out there who convince women no longer have rights. Really? I told my wife the other day that Donald Trump had won. She better go cook me supper. You know what she did? I wound up using Uber Eats. Yeah, really. I mean, yeah, I tried to pull this off on my wife. She's no big Trump fan. I was like, look, he won now. You got to cook me supper. Slept in the guest bedroom. I ordered from Carrabba's Uber Eats. Didn't go over as I expected. And I tried to tell her, but nope. Only person whose rights went away in my house were mine. I mean, I expected a sandwich or something. Nope, not going to happen. Charlie and Philip, please do not tell her I just said that. I really will be like sleeping in the doghouse. Y'all, seriously though, the hysteria among people out there that, oh my God, my rights are going away. What right did you have? What right did you have that went away because Donald Trump got elected? What? Can you name one? Is there a right that you had on November 4th that went away on November 6th because of Donald Trump's election? No, there's not. And if you think there is, you are an idiot. And you need to know you are not a serious person. And I bet you have your pronouns in your social media biography because you are a stupid person. None of your rights went away. You were totally fine. But yet there are a lot of single women out there who are neurotic, who think their rights went away because Donald Trump got elected. And that's the problem here, is when you interview the Black, Asian, and Hispanic voters of America, they're like, I do not want to be in the party with these crazy white women. Now listen, you're a white woman listening to me right now. You know exactly who I'm talking about. And it's not you unless you're hyper offended and you're calling my call screener right now to yell at me. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about because there is a class of white women in particular, and they tend to be higher income. And either they aborted their kid or they never had a kid or their kid is all screwed up because they put 100% work ethic ahead of everything and they're hyper-progressive and they burden their children with their progressive neuroses and their children are depressed and on drugs because their children think the world is going to burn, it's all going to come to end and their rights are gone. And Black, Hispanic, and Asian voters said, nope, I do not want to be a part of this. No, sirree, Bob, there is no way I want to be a part of this. It reminds me of a piece by, what's the girl? Yes, Naomi Beinert. So Peter Beinert is this pretty anti-Semitic writer at the left-wing New Republic, or at least he used to be there. He's a terrible person, and you have an idea of just how terrible he is from his 16-year-old daughter. And yes, I'm going to call out his 16-year-old daughter, Naomi Beinert, because she was able to place a guest essay in the New York Times and shows you what horrible parents she has. Let me read to you the 16-year-old high school junior, Naomi Beinert. On the morning after the election, I walked up the staircase of my school. A preteen was crying into the shoulders of her braces-clad peer. Her friend was rubbing circles on her back. I continued up the stairs to the lounge, where upperclassmen linger before classes. There I saw two tables. One was filled with my girlfriends, many of them with hollows under their eyes. There was a blanket of despair over the young women in the room. I looked over to the other table of teenage boys and saw Minecraft on their computers. While we were grasping for a breath, it seemed they were breathing freely. We girls woke up to a country that would rather elect a man felt liable for sexual abuse than a woman, where the kind of man my mother instructs me to cross the street to avoid will be addressed as Mr. President, where the body I haven't fully grown into may no longer be under my control. The boys, it seemed to me, just woke up on a Wednesday. What made my skin burn most wasn't that over 75 million people voted for Donald Trump. It was that this election didn't seem to measurably change anything for the boys around me. Whether their parents supported Mr. Trump or not, many of them didn't seem to share our rage, our fear, our despair. We don't even share the same future. I'm scared the Trump administration will take away or restrict birth control and Plan B the same way it did abortion. I'm scared the boys I know will see in a triumphant, boastful Mr. Trump the epitome of a manly man and model themselves after him. I was 8 years old the first time he was elected. Now I'm 16. I'm still unable to vote, but I am so much more aware of what I have to lose. This is a 16-year-old girl in New York writing this, mad at the boys because they don't seem to care that Donald Trump got elected. You know what? She shouldn't care that Donald Trump got elected. But her parents are psychotic progressives who have endowed with her all of their neuroses. And these are the sorts of people that Black and Hispanic and Asian Americans are like, you know what? I'm done with these people. I'm done with them. They're psychotics. They're upset. They think their rights have gone away. They're mad at boys for playing Minecraft instead of being absorbed and neurotic about the fallout of an election. This is a 16-year-old girl who can't even vote, who thinks her world has come to an end because Donald Trump got elected, and I blame the parents. And it's not a surprise. Her father is a super woke progressive TV commentator and writer. It's not a surprise. Literally, you know how the New York Times styled this piece? This is the headline. I'm 16. On November 6th, the girls cried and the boys played Minecraft. In other words, the boys are sane and normal, and the girls are neurotic, unhealthy, and unbalanced and unstable. The boys are going to be just fine. The girls are going to be on drugs. Probably prescriptions from psychiatrists because their parents ruined them. And Black and Hispanic and Asian American people are like, we are kind of done with the rich, white, woke, crazy people of America, as they should be. This guest essay in the New York Times from the 16-year-old girl tells you everything bad about her parents and her lifestyle, way of life, and her school. The fact that any kids in America are that upset that someone won a presidential election, who, by the way, is very literally not going to affect them on a daily basis. And then mad at the boys for not being upset. What a selfish person her parents have raised. And a deeply insecure and neurotic one as well. That's on the parents. And how can you blame Black, Asian, and Hispanic Americans for saying, I don't want to be at a party with these people? And by the way, those people are the ones who are calling the Black and Hispanic men of America race traitors. Those are the people who say that Republicans literally want to kill your kids. Those are the people making wild and hysterical claims and then looked these Black, Asian, and Hispanic people in the eyes and said, your life is good. Just because you can't afford groceries, you don't know how good you have it. Think about the people in Africa. You're so much better than them. You have no idea. You should be thanking Joe Biden. And they said, nope, and went to the polls and voted. And somehow the boys who are not even old enough to vote, it's their fault to this girl. My gosh, she's going to be a piece of work. We'll have to keep up with her over the years and see what happens. Now, I got to tell you about Hillsdale College. Maybe she should go there and grow up. Hillsdale College would be an excellent place to encounter some maturity and grow some maturity. In fact, I invite you to go to ericforhillsdale.com today, watch a short video, and learn about Hillsdale College. Hillsdale College is one of the very first institutions in this country to integrate. It believes that everyone in this country should appreciate the founding spirit of this country. In fact, at Hillsdale College, where unlike a lot of other college campuses out there, they got to sign a code of respect that they will respect the diversity of opinion and treat everyone respectfully even when they disagree. They've been doing this for quite a long time, well before the rise of the wokes. They believe that debate matters, free speech matters, civic conduct matters, and that America is actually great. They don't indoctrinate, they just educate. They would love to have your support. You could even get Imprimis completely for free. It is their publication that gives you insights into the thinking of conservatives around the country. They've been doing it for years. I've been getting it since law school, like 20-some years. Never paid a penny for it. All you do is go to ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. You can get familiar with Hillsdale College. You can get Imprimis. You can get Dr. Larry Arnn's lecture series on the Constitution. ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K. Go check out Hillsdale College today. Understand there really are great institutions still in this country delivering quality education to college students. ericforhillsdale.com. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. A progressive transgender activist has been elected to the United States Congress. Sarah McBride is the name that Tim McBride now goes by, having transitioned. Nancy Mace is the Republican Congresswoman from Charleston, South Carolina. She was the first woman to graduate from the Citadel? First female graduate, advancing women's rights. And now She wants Congress to pass a resolution that only women can use the women's restroom, and she's being vilified as a bigot. This is actually a feminist trendsetter who expanded access for women into college and still believes in women's rights, is being attacked for undermining women by not wanting a man in the bathroom. And, of course, the media is all over this, and the conservatives, of course, are mad at the Speaker of the House, who just had this exchange with a reporter. Let's see if I can fire this up. I may not be, yeah, so the Speaker of the House, this is on my end.
Speaker, is freshman-elect Sarah McBride a man or a woman?
Look, I'm not going to get into this. We welcome all new members with open arms who are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command that we treat all persons with dignity and respect, and we will. And I'm not going to engage in silly debates about this. There's a concern about the uses of restroom facilities and locker rooms and all that. This is an issue that Congress has never had to address before, and we're going to do that in deliberate fashion with member consensus on it, and we will accommodate the needs of every single person. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, let's be clear here. He should have said, it's a dude. But also, the reporters, you've got to understand, are on the side of the trans activists. Overwhelmingly, Americans just don't want to deal with the issue, and everyone would be perfectly fine if someone transitioned and we never had to make a stink about it. But trans activists are forcing it down our throats, and of course there's pushback because you're not a woman. And you can call me the bad guy for saying it, but you're not a woman. You're called a trans woman, and that trans identifier means you're not a woman. You're a man. You may look like a woman now. I've seen plenty of trans men who look very manly. And if you didn't want to flaunt it for everyone, you'd be able to just live peacefully with everyone else. But because you're insisting we upend science and biology, of course you've generated pushback. And the media, of course, is on the side of those generating the pushback, which is not the side of most voters, including the Black and Hispanic voters, who are fleeing the Democratic Party over cultural issues like this. And the Democrats can't understand that. They've just decided everyone's a hater and a bigot, as opposed to stop shoving this stuff down our throats. We didn't ask to normalize crazy, and that's what you guys are insisting on. It's not going to end well.